Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to continue on with today's playlist of special selections where one of y'all tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's comes at us from Caleb. I'd love to see more Bear Ghost on the channel. One of my favorites as of late is the song Sirens. Keep up the great work. So that's what we're going to dive in today. Got some Bear Ghost ahead of us. See what's going on with the track Sirens.
I count the time I pissed away in hiding, and I count on finding solace in their song. But in pacing through these halls, digging nails into the walls, I've grown tired of their prying eyes spying. They say the life you got is what you make it, but I starved myself in comfort for too long. I've been eager with the drive, a crusade to feel alive. So let's bounce before they wake up and they find me. Grab your bootstraps, boys, buckle up, and we out on the loose. I got my two-step winning.
Harmonies are pretty good.
Ready to shoot. Delicious as I join them in their jaunty jamboree. Then a crack and I can hear the neurotic
Some massive bass sounds.
Dissonance behind me. They say you wanna dance like no one's watching. They're a telepathic chorus in my mind, with their laser guided eyes firing nears as sharp as knives. A pariah gone awry, just confine me. Strap my boots down, girls, buckle up, and I'm back in the noose. Chilling grin, bringing tons of nothing to lose. Feed me, yeah. I've had enough limelight. Oh, you tuck me in and sing me the blues. Sing me sweetly to my doom, and I know there's no escaping.
Really interesting levity introduced here.
I'm the one on the line, yeah, so I'm getting my fill. And if you had just wanted me to wouldn't want it now. Brother, sister, please don't shame me.
Their organ does a lot of heavy lifting as far as atmosphere goes.
And I know there's no escaping. I can't hold on. I don't know that I'm fighting, but I'm getting my fill. And if you had just wanted me to think I want it now, this ain't how my mama raised me. Silent so loud, but I'm out of time. Coming in for the kill. Say that you got just what I want because I need it. Give me all you got because if not, you're gonna drown me out.
Alright, yeah, I mean that's what I expect from Bear Ghost. A lot of this bouncy, fun, pop punk kind of style with a little bit of an extra kick of the like kid style of spooky. Got that Are You Afraid of the Dark or Scooby Doo style of vibes going on. I know I'm dating myself real bad with those. I don't know what is like kid friendly spooky today. So I think spooky in general, it's not it's not fear, it's not horror, it's spooky. It kind of has that uplifting, not uplifting, the lightheartedness of it. It has the eerie vibes without leaning into the actual tension and anxiety. So yeah, spooky just overall is a good term for it. And I mean, to me, the vocals are infectious. So let's kick it off with that. This is my big draw to Bear Ghost. I think the music is sort of secondary to everything. The vibe, the atmosphere is unique ish to them. I don't really hear a lot of pop punk going in this direction, but what the instruments are doing is not really flashy or too interesting usually. It's more of the resulting atmosphere they create, but the vocals I feel are something that are consistently interesting to me. There's a bounciness to them with rhythmic accentuation. The way that certain syllables are given extra weight to them and other ones aren't, and what that pattern might be, and how the phrasing works. There's a lot of uses of offset rhythmic ideas. Bum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum, almost swingy in a way in a lot of his melodic delivery. And when you pair that with the wide range of pitches that are utilized in the vocals, you end up with something that is both energetic, driving, ear catching. I said both, and I'm going to have four descriptions. And interesting. There's something about it that just catches your ear, and you're like, I need to listen to what he's talking about, or I need to listen to what's being said here. Um, And it's all catchy too. I think the melody by itself, even without the lyrics, even if it were on another instrument, would be something that would get stuck in my mind. There's just something very captivating about the vocal delivery as a whole with Bear Ghost. I don't think I've heard a single track from them where I find the vocals to be boring in any sense. Um, and I really enjoy that about them. It is, like I mentioned, the one thing that I typically expect from Bear Ghost is just really alluring vocal work. Now, underneath the vocals, we have the music. Um, the guitars are mostly riffing away, usually within a small range as far as pitch goes, occasionally even just giving us chord progressions. Um, we do hear some interesting ideas bouncing the guitars and the organ back and forth and getting this nice sort of playful conversation out of them. The guitars certainly bring the pop punk side, though, to the song. Now, I think if it were just the guitars and the bass, I don't know that the song would have a lot to write home about, but I love the introduction of the organ. Not only does it create a secondary timbre for, like I mentioned, the guitar to play around with. Sometimes they go back and forth, sometimes they harmonize, sometimes they have two totally different lines. It adds that second layer into the foundation that works really well. But it brings out that spooky sound. It's the timbre itself that elevates the track and pushes it into that specific sort of horror light style that I think just really works well. It brings the Scooby Doo vibe to the song. Um, and a lot of this track emphasizes sort of the offbeat, and it kind of has this bounciness to a lot of it, which helps drive the song forward. It helps it feel light on its feet, bouncy. It doesn't get dragged down by the weight in pretty much any aspect of the track. And a lot of this also comes from the organ. So I think it's a vital instrument to this song specifically to not only create the general movement of the song and to work in tandem with the vocals to drive forward the momentum, but also to create this very specific vibe of sort of like a little spooky amusement ride. Um, And the drums kind of fit in the same place that the guitars and bass do, in that they are serviceable. They sit in the background, they keep the beat, and that's really about it. The song does go through some ups and downs, so our verses are completely quiet. They really bring, I mean, I don't think the volume, I wasn't watching the volume bar. I should have been. I don't think the volume actually comes down now, but we reach levels of sparseness that contrast heavily with the chorus. I think our second verse for a while was just the vocals and hi-hat and maybe like a light organ on the offbeats. Um, just really condensing down our instrumentation and creating this sense of vulnerability and isolation. And we contrast this heavily with the chorus, where a lot of the instruments come in. We get these wide chords coming in from the guitars. The sound is taking up the whole sound sphere. This is the energetic part as well. It feels more cohesive, less alone. And that loneliness is also something that adds to the spookiness, right? It's not, you're not terrified because you're alone, but it's kind of like, when Scooby and Shaggy get separated. It's a playful type of spookiness that maybe for the narrator themselves here, the vocalist, it is something terrifying to them. But as an audience member, it's all sort of done in a comedic kind of way. It's playful, right? Shaggy and Scooby legitimately get scared when they bump into somebody in a ghost costume, but for us, it's a playful type of fear, right? That kind of vibe is what I get from our verse. We also move through this idea of lots of tension to brightening up things just a little bit in the chorus. What's really interesting is we lean further into that darkness in the bridge than we do even in the verse. This is a full instrument part, and it really accentuates whatever is spooky here. And leans into darker chords. It leans into more melancholic chords, not quite as melancholic as I don't know, like a dreary love heartbroken song, but there's definitely a darkness. The bridge here just doesn't have any of the brightness that our chorus brings in a little bit of. It kind of leans full on into those vibes that the verse is representing, but with a full band this time. And of course, we begin to hear some of this anxiety work its way into the vocals, as I feel like we had more syllables in the bridge than anywhere else. Almost feels like they're speeding up, they're rushing now. And it takes us into what I think is a variation on the chorus to take us out of the track, where we end it off with a little bit of a fry scream. I don't know what that's all about, but if they're being chased by something, maybe this is where they got caught by it and now they let out a scream of fear. I don't know. That's kind of the imagery that I was having while listening to this track. Um, I don't know that there's anything else I really want to add to it. It is a song that is very direct, it's short and sweet, gets right to the point, it does its thing and gets out. And it does so in the most minimalist manner. Well, what I mean by that is everything in here, it's hyper focused. So if we need to achieve this vibe, what's the least amount of instruments that we need in order to do it? And that's what they go for. It is simple yet effective. And I think it's a great way to go about writing music. You can certainly add more instruments to this, create a denser atmosphere, but it would be a totally different song. It might even lose some of that bouncy funness that is very prevalent throughout. So, like I said, I appreciate how they went about doing this, because we've heard tracks from them that are incredibly dense. Something about a big time backyard barbecue or something like that. I don't remember what the song was called. It was a rockabilly barbecue, something along those lines. That song had layers for days. It was incredibly dense, but it worked well for the story it was telling. And if this is a story about being isolated, then I think having a smaller instrumentation um, and lighter vibes are going to work well for that. And so it shows a little bit of understanding of what the goals of the track are and executing them uh, with the right amount of complexity and effort that's needed for it. I'm going to take a moment to hit some lyrics here, and then we're going to wrap this up. According to the annotation here, which contains a interview with the bassist, the song is about battling anxiety and specifically, I think, depression. He doesn't specifically mention that, but that is sort of what it sounds like. When he says he tries to overwhelm his anxiety, and there's a subconscious idea of self sabotage and a retreat to the dark as he tells himself he doesn't deserve to be happy. That sounds like depression to me. Um, and so we get a couple of the opening verses, which are when the vocalist is most isolated from the instruments, speaking about being in the dark. It says, I count the time that I've pissed away in hiding, and I count on finding solace in their songs. But in pacing through these halls, digging nails into the walls, I've grown tired of their prying eyes, spying. This could be a metaphor for the voices or ideas in his head that beat him down mentally. The chorus says, grab your bootstraps, boys, buckle up, we're out on the loose. Got my two-step winning green, my finger guns are ready to shoot, I'm gonna dance all night, got a hankering to shake off some blues. I'm just gonna go out and battle this depression. I'm just gonna do some fun stuff, right? That's gonna make me happy. Verse 3, though, talks about the ramifications of this. It says, at first I found the atmosphere delicious, but then a crack, and I can hear the neurotic itching fear of the amplifying dissonance behind me. And he talks about how even doing this fun activity doesn't keep the darkness away. We eventually get to the outro, where just kind of realizes that there's no escaping it. And eventually, he says there's a silence so loud I realize I'm out of time, and I gotta give it all I got, because if not, they're gonna drown me out. And then the scream. So yeah, it's a track about battling depression. And to me at least, it's a track that exemplifies that depression isn't something that you can typically battle by yourself. You need a strong support system, and you need a doctor for your brain. Mental health is just as important as dental health or physical health or any of it. And so you need a professional to help you with that. It isn't explicitly stated here, but he tries to solve things on his own by just going out and having fun, and realizes that that's still not enough. And of course, some of these ideas are found within the music. The isolation of the verse, the anxiety and increasing tension of the bridge, and eventually the scream at the end. I think the music goes along and tells a story that atmospherically works for the lyrics, while also retaining the core aspect and emotion of a specific phrase of the lyrics in the music as well. Those are my thoughts on Bear Ghost's Sirens. Sirens. Hmm. Very vague relations here between the voices in your head and the sirens. I'm not too sure I enjoy the correlation there, given the misogynistic origins of sirens, but I think we're just going to leave that at that. those are my thoughts. Let me know yours down in the comments section. Give me your opinions, perspectives. If you hear things differently than me, if you have a different whatever, just let me know down there. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree in there. It'll take you to this menu. You can find my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. We do have one more special selection today. But if that doesn't interest you, I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to check out some brand new music. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.